Today on the news and why it matters, Joe Biden closes in on the Democratic nomination, but Bernie Sanders is not quite done yet. We have got a lot to get into, including a coronavirus update. Don't change the channel. It starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by conservative commentator Grant Stinchfield and also someone he may be getting in a tussle with later on, if we're lucky, Jason Howerton, social media guru. Jason Howerton of the BlazeTV, Blaze Media, all the Blaze conglomerates.
The Empire, yeah.
And anytime I see these two together.
Do we really fight that off? We don't really fight that off.
I think we have every time at least on one thing, so I don't know what.
Well, when you defend Obama, then I come at you.
I said he was a good dad.
Oh my God, here we go. And then we've got Giancarlo Sopo, the Blaze.com's own Giancarlo Sopo. Thanks, guys, for being here. So let's talk Joe Biden, who just last night won Idaho, Michigan, Missouri, and Mississippi. Sanders won North Dakota. I don't think any of these were surprises. However, a couple of the Biden's expectations were surpassed in a couple of the different states. Washington State is still, as of the time of this taping, not sure about later on this evening, but as of the time of this taping, too close to call. 67% reporting with both candidates still tied. Now, I want to get into Bernie Sanders and what his response has been. However, I do want to touch really quickly on Joe Biden coming out very strong after yesterday, even though we continue to see him gaffe, we continue to see him disrespect.
Nearly assault voters, maybe?
That's what I mean.
To challenge him to a fist fight or something.
Complete disrespect of not just an American voter, but someone who is a potential voter of his.
A union member.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they're for the taking for Joe Biden, and he continues to raise his voice, call them names, insult them, and lie to their faces. Somehow that still gets him all of these states. Grant, is it just because all of the other Democrat candidates were so bad? Is that why we're looking at this? Because I can't see any other reason.
Yeah, I mean, and we've talked about this before. It restores my faith in some respects in Americans, even Democratic Americans, that they're not going to vote for Bernie Sanders, a self-described socialist. So who are you left with? You got Joe Biden as the only one you have left with to vote for. So he ends up pulling it out. I mean, 3 weeks ago, it would have been a surprise, I guess, if you say that Joe Biden's in the place that he is.
Yeah.
But now it's not.
Yeah.
When you have Joe Biden, you could put Mickey Mouse up against Bernie Sanders. I think it would have been the same result last night.
So it wasn't anything that Joe Biden did right. It was just the more Bernie talked, the more people said,
what has Joe Biden done right? I have not seen him do anything right. Day after day, it's gaffe after gaffe, and yet he gets up there and he doesn't push socialism quite as much. He still pushes it, not quite as much as Bernie Sanders. That's a saving grace.
Yeah. I mean, Jason, do you disagree?
I actually completely agree with that assessment. Other than the fact that I think if you had somebody like, even though I hate his policies, like Pete Buttigieg, as the candidate that the establishment actually rallied around, I think he'd be a much stronger, likable candidate who could actually put up a fight against, like, what we saw happen is the establishment picked their guy, right? And they put their full power behind him. And to your point, Democrats looked at what was there and they said, okay, we have communism, and then we have a guy who barely knows where he is. And even between those bad options, they said, you know what? The guy who barely knows where he is still a better option than going down that road. So to me, I'm like, you know what? Good job, Democrats. It's not going to be fun come November for you when it's Biden and Trump on the debate stage, but it's good for America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Giancarlo.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is that if you look at these exit polls, it shows Bernie Sanders is winning hearts and minds, but people aren't really comfortable voting for him because they know that he just gets shellacked by Trump. So if you, like on issue after issue, the Democratic electorate actually agrees probably more with Bernie Sanders on matters of public policy than they do with Joe Biden, but they're not casting their votes for him because they see him as like this crazy communist. Yeah, I mean, and it really started like 3 weeks ago with the Fidel Castro comments. Then it snowballed from there into a series of other issues where Democrats just realized, like, we elect this guy. I mean, if we vote for this guy, we're going to lose to Trump. So they're trying to put their best foot forward. Unfortunately, the best foot forward is someone who's dead.
Bernie is such a believer that he can't even bring himself to not say good things about Fidel Castro. Like, he can't do it. Like, he couldn't deny his heart that he loves Fidel Castro.
He's like quadrupled down on it. Like, and like he was. So it's funny. Like, he was on this Fox News town hall a few days ago, and they
asked him again.
They asked him again, and not only did they ask him again, they actually pointed out to him, Bernie, the literacy programs were Marxist propaganda.
It was like, here's your off ramp to save yourself, and take it.
He was like, he just like rolled his eyes. He's like, well, if you, like he just kind of like just
whatever you can do to get people to read.
Yeah, they were like, it was like Marxist, and it was like part of a Marxist indoctrination effort. I know this because like my family was living on the island at the time.
So the one thing that Bernie Sanders has going for him, the one thing, is that it's clear he truly believes in what he's saying and what he's doing. You've got all these other candidates that have followed suit. I mean, Joe Biden was on giving away more free stuff. He's giving away free stuff because Bernie's giving away free stuff. Bernie actually believes that in some respects it's respectable that he believes what he's
See, I thought you were going to yell at me because I was going to say I actually really respect that.
I have more respect for a guy like that.
I'm a communist, and this is who I am.
Yeah.
Well, he's not saying he's a communist.
Well,
Biden's full of malarkey, like he would say. Like Biden's like just full of it, right? Like he doesn't know where he stands.
I believe that his bus actually says no malarkey.
Yeah,
so
it is the malarkey tour though.
The no malarkey tour.
So Biden's completely full of it. I don't think Joe Biden's a communist, but he is like your garden variety liberal, but who I think has shown no backbone throughout this campaign. And what's going to happen is that you're gonna see him keep striking deals with the far left. He did it on abortion, like someone who wasn't as radical as the rest of the party was for like 30 years throughout his career, just moved to like the hard left with like third trimester taxpayer-funded abortions in this campaign, and you're going to see him cut deals like that on issue after issue in this election.
You know, the shift that has happened is we always used to say the media works for the Democratic Party. I actually believe the shift has happened where it's the Democratic Party that now works for the mainstream media. The mainstream media calls the shots, and the Democratic leaders are the ones that fall in line instead of the other way around.
Wow.
It's an interesting theory because it keeps their stranglehold on the information and the culture, I guess.
Which gets to why you said where where Joe Biden is going and the direction he's headed.
Well, it is interesting too because, you do feel bad for Bernie in a sense that he's been talking about this Medicare for All policy for what? He proposed it 4 years ago, and everyone was like, that's stupid. No one's ever going to do that. And now literally every single presidential candidate on the Democrat side is proposing his plan. And he's like, guys, I was the one who created this whole thing. Maybe you should listen to me. It does not say a lot about the people's trust in Bernie Sanders, I guess, when it all comes down to it.
Yeah, it's funny when you were mentioning that. So 4 years ago, he was running against Hillary Clinton. He came much closer against Hillary Clinton, which goes to show you once again, like what a terrible candidate Hillary Clinton was.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I wonder is because he came so much closer, did people really just use that as a protest vote? Right? Like, were they just like, I can't vote for Hillary. There's no freaking way I can vote for Hillary, but I have to vote for a Democrat. So I'm going to vote for Bernie. And maybe it was just more of a protest vote than anything else.
I mean, it feels to me anyway, just from how it looks from the outside, I could be wrong, but it looks to me like the idea of socialism has grown in popularity among the left for whatever reason.
Young people, especially.
Better.
And young black people too. I saw some polling I couldn't believe because it's just for some reason that is resonating. I think for Republicans, I said this on Twitter, that we need to stop making fun of them and start engaging them on why capitalism is actually their path to a better life. Yeah. Socialism is not going to be what they're looking for, but people like Bernie and others, they're reaching out to those young people and appealing to them and their anger, and they can't get the job that they want. And so I think that opportunity is being missed, and we shouldn't.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say I'm going to have a real hard time stopping making fun of these blind liberal zombies. That's what they are. They're blind liberal
It's going to be
zombies.
hard. It's going to be hard.
To be fair, you would make fun of them even if they were older. It's just that they're usually younger.
Yes, that's true. I would make fun of all of the blind liberal zombies, old and young, and they're all equal in that front. But when you look at where Bernie did well, so Washington's not called yet. Washington is an ultra-liberal state because of Seattle and Tacoma, and the rest of the state is low population, but more conservative. But he wins there or he comes close to winning there because it's ultra left wing. He lost in Michigan. Talked about unions. I don't even think that the Democrats have unions anymore. I think Donald Trump has taken over the union vote now.
Well, we can only hope so. Giancarlo, before we move on to Bernie Sanders and his little presser that he held today, tell us, you were just telling us off air about a new poll that just came out in Florida. That's Biden versus Trump?
Yeah, so there are two polls that have come out in Florida over the past 24 hours. One is by Florida Atlantic University, and when you looked at it shows Trump beating Biden in Florida. But when you look at the crosstabs, it shows Trump performing remarkably well with minority voters. So he's at 45% versus Biden with Hispanics in the state, which a Republican presidential candidate hasn't performed that well with Hispanics since George W. Bush.
It's almost like they care more about jobs than they do about being told how racist the president is.
Yeah.
It almost feels like that.
Yeah, it also shows him like at 18% with African Americans in Florida. And then another poll by Telemundo that just came out this morning shows him at 40% with Hispanics in the Sunshine State, which either one, whether it's like 40% or 45%, they're both gains from 2016 where he ended up at 35%. And it would be very difficult for a Democrat to win the state if Trump is doing so well with minority voters.
Do you believe those numbers, Grant?
I'm skeptical on polling numbers, but I would see why Hispanics and other people of color would be on board the Trump train when you look at what's been going on with jobs. I mean, even with the stock market in an all-out free fall, we're still having great jobs numbers. We're still having reports that people are hiring out there. Home sales are up. Like, this economy to me seems like it's still headed in the right direction. That's going to have effect. People vote with their pocketbooks. Yeah. All politics is selfish politics. If you're working, you got money coming in, you're going to vote with the guy who got you there.
It's a hard argument to sell to the American people when they're actually working. And they can see, as Grant said, they can see the change in their pocketbooks to say, you're not actually doing well. You should vote for me instead.
Yeah, and it's terrible timing, but the only downside for Trump right now is how deep does this coronavirus crisis go? How much does it impact the stock market? Because we've talked about it before. It's unfair for a president to get all the praise or all the blame, but that's the way it is. So if it doesn't recover and it doesn't improve over the spring, and it goes towards the election and we're still slagging, then he might actually have some problems. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we will wait and see. And we do have a little bit about coronavirus coming up. But I will say, I'd be shocked if it lasted that long. I mean, we've got summer months coming up.
They don't know if how it's going to react to the warmer months, if it's going to be like the flu.
Right.
I'm praying hard that it's that, because if it's not, then we're talking about something different.
Yeah, so we will keep you updated on that. And Bernie Sanders vows to stay in the 2020 race for now, and he is looking forward to the debate with Joe Biden. More on that in a minute. But first, conservative voices are being silenced daily by left-wing tech companies who enjoy, profiting off of exploiting your privacy, and then they silence your voice when you say something with conservative values that they don't agree with. The right to speak freely has come under assault in places that were designed for us to do just that. You feel like you have no other options other than to play by their rules, right? Okay, well, that's wrong, actually. Parler, you can download Parler. Parler is the news and free speech app. They're not going to silence you. They're not going to violate your privacy for financial gain. You can download the app, create your account, post, share, and speak freely. They're not going to punish you because you have different values than most of the liberal people on there. And you cannot obviously threaten violence. You can't commit actual acts of hate. You can't harass, commit other crimes. But that's not who you are, all right? So we know you're not going to do that anyway. You can go to Parler.com or visit the App Store to download a Parler today. I'm on Parler. It's super easy to use. You will get the hang of it like that in seconds. You can follow me as well at Sarah Gonzalez TX. That is PARLER.com. We have got to stick together right now in this time where speech is being silenced when you are conservative. Trust me on this. You are going to want to download it today. It is PARLER.com. Go there now. After a series of defeats, it is just defeat after defeat for Bernie Sanders, he vows to stay in the presidential race for now. Here's a little bit of what he had to say today after his losses in numerous states last night.
What became even more apparent yesterday is that while we are currently losing the delegate count, approximately 800 delegates for Joe Biden and 660 for us, we are strongly winning in two enormously important areas which will determine the future of our country. Poll after poll, including exit polls, show that a strong majority of the American people support our progressive agenda. The American people are deeply concerned about the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality in this country, and the American people want the wealthy and large profitable corporations to start paying their fair share of taxes. Overwhelming support for that.
So obnoxious.
Seems like if that was the case, that they would be voting for that guy.
It's so obnoxious. Like, his entire worldview is based on like these phony statistics about income inequality that are grossly distorted because they're not taking into account things like welfare benefits, earned income tax credit, taxes that high income people pay. When you account for all of that, our inequality levels are comparable to those of Europe, right? We just don't have a really good, like the IRS and like the federal government, they don't really do a very good job at adjusting for those. And like the official data that they put out, whether it's for that or whether it's like for the poverty rate, like our poverty rate is like way off.
Yeah.
So it's so frustrating because his entire worldview is premised on a lie.
Yes, and to add a little bit to Giancarlo's point, it always blows my mind when you talk about the poverty level here in the country because Bernie Sanders doesn't want people to keep perspective, right? People living in poverty in the United States still have Xboxes, still have flat screen TVs, still have access to all of these different things that it's not what we think of when you think someone is poverty stricken in, you know, say a third world country. That's not what it is in America, but if you say that, you're poking a hole in his theory.
Don't confuse what he is saying. He's not really talking about the poverty level. What he's talking about is so-called income inequality.
Yeah.
He's so mad that there's wealthy people in this country. I don't want anybody in poverty. I want to move everybody out of poverty into the middle class. And he's wealthy, exactly. So if you move everybody out of poverty and into the middle class, who cares if there's billionaires? You know what I tell my 10-year-old? Don't worry about everybody else.
Yeah.
Worry about yourself and make sure you do right, and everything's going to be okay.
Also, another life lesson that we tell our children that is great for these adults who think Bernie Sanders is a good idea. Life isn't fair. Get over it. Life isn't fair. Not everything in your life is going to be fair. You are not going to make the same as your neighbor. Get over it.
Yeah, and it's fine.
Yet, though, in America, it's yet.
But maybe ever.
Maybe ever.
That's okay.
But the opportunity, what we trade in for not being the same is the ceiling of opportunity.
Yeah.
That is unparalleled to anywhere in the entire world, in the history of the world. And if you were born in America, you hit the life lottery. And if you disrespect that, you're a brat. And you don't deserve it. So go to Sweden, I guess. Like, I don't know.
That is what they like, the Bernie Sanders supporters, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what was very telling was that, so about 2 days ago, he did this Fox News town hall.
Yeah.
And Martha McCallum asked him, well, actually, Bernie, and she pointed out to him that Scandinavia doesn't really work the way that he does. And he goes, well, I'm not an expert on the Swedish economy. And they're like, blah, blah, blah.
Good thing you're not running for president or anything.
I mean, and I'm like, using it as an example.
Yeah, no, and I'm like, wait a second. So like your entire campaign platform is that you want to like adopt the Nordic model here, and you're conceding you don't even know how it works. What the hell's wrong with you?
Imagine. I mean, in the fact that there's no that's not the narrative. That's not the headline. It would be like if Trump was running on jobs and he's like, I don't know how this whole job thing works.
Yeah, yeah. It's like his entire campaign pitch is like, hey, look, Scandinavia works this way. We can just be just like Scandinavia here if we just did these quick.
And he sells it as a socialist model.
Yeah, and he sells it. It's not socialism. They have like the welfare state that we have in the United States multiplied by like 5 and then like double your taxes. That's what they have over there.
But then also maybe increase the free market principles a little bit too. So it's like it's not what he's promising here. It's a lot.
You had said the first word was offensive, and to me, what's offensive is liberals want to literally punish hard work. They want to punish success. That's not what we do in this country. And for some reason, he wants to reward not working hard. And I will concede that it's not just if you work hard, you can be a millionaire. Give me a break. That's bull corn. Okay, it takes a little bit of luck, a lot of hard work, and some smarts, and you can do it. But everybody has the opportunity. Some have more opportunity than others. That's just the hard, stone cold facts.
life.
But the deal is, you do not punish people for their success because other people don't have it. Makes no sense.
Well, there's no perfect system. So it's like you're never going to be able to be like everybody's a millionaire, right? There's no thing that exists like that. But what you can say is that what's better than us all being miserable is for all of us to have the opportunity to go far beyond what we ever thought was possible.
Most people don't want to be. I mean, everyone sure would love to be a millionaire. Most people would be very happy moving into middle class, being able to take a vacation with their families, pay their car bill if it breaks down, and they can get their car repaired, make sure they have a job, get paid if they're off, they get sick, and they're not going to go bust if they have to call in sick and they don't get paid.
So maybe that's the thing. Maybe the way we're losing is we're allowing the far left to fetishize being wealthy when money's not everything. Like, it's not going to make you happy. I know a lot of very rich people who are freaking miserable, and I know a lot of poor people who are fulfilled and they have their kids and they're completely happy.
It helps.
They have like
it helps. There's no doubt it helps.
Sure, but there is a level. There is a level
They have
where
like a
they
secular,
say
materialist view of the world.
correct.
Yeah.
And there is a level that you get to where money no longer makes you any happy. You want to be comfortable. You want to be able to pay your bills, like you said. But once you get to a certain point, and that's what you're saying, let's get more people to the middle class and stop saying that everybody's got to be a millionaire or a billionaire to be happy.
Yeah, like just to put things in perspective, like my family came here in 1979. Within 13 years, right? Like those first 13 years, and like certainly like when I was born, we were living in a tiny duplex, right? Within 13 years, my mom was able to save enough money to start a business and move us into the suburbs. Right? Meanwhile, my family that stayed behind in Cuba, they're still living in the same house that has been with our family since the 1930s. So it just goes to show you, like, in this country, yeah, there's tremendous opportunity if you're willing to work hard, you're willing to play by the rules. Of course, there should be a safety net. If something terrible happens to you just through no fault of your own, and you don't have any family, of course, we're not just going to let you die on the streets. But at the same time, you want to have enough opportunity there for people to like move forward and to like be ambitious and dream big.
Yeah.
I think all millennials should have to talk to your parents, is what I think they should have to do and hear that story.
All right, and it is law now. We've just enacted that particular law. All right, President Trump weighed in on all of the primary elections last night. He said, Pocahontas, I want to get your thoughts on this really quickly if you guys think that this is true. This is his theory, President Trump's. Pocahontas, working in conjunction with the Democrat Party, totally destroyed the campaign of Bernie Sanders. If she would have quit 3 days earlier, Sanders would have beaten Biden in a rout. It wouldn't have even been close. They also got 2 other losers to support Sleepy Joe. He just had to get that final dagger in there. But do you think, Grant, I want to go around the table really quickly. Do you think, Grant, that if Elizabeth Warren had dropped out earlier, somehow Bernie Sanders would be there? Or is that this? I feel like this is just President Trump just trying to get them. Yeah, he's getting them to fight against each other.
I mean, he is great at trolling liberals. It is his specialty, and I love it. And he's just pissing them off when he writes this stuff. Would Sanders be in any other spot than he is now? I don't really think so.
I think he might have won a state maybe from getting but I don't think he'd be beating Biden. But I think Trump knows that Bernie probably feels that way, and so he's kind of getting the Bernie Bros do. So he's kind of getting them hot,
riled up,
hot under the collar, and so he knows what he's doing.
I do think Elizabeth Warren detests Bernie Sanders. She's not. She doesn't like the.
Wait,
Bernie
are
Bros.
you saying that she's inauthentic?
Right.
Oh my gosh, I would have never guessed that about old Elizabeth Warren.
I mean, she was like a Republican until she was like 45, right? Yeah. So she lives a very nice life in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I know that area very well. She is not a socialist. She just pretends to be one, or pretended to be one in this campaign in order to win, and it didn't work. They went with like the real communist over her, but I don't think. There was always like it always seemed very weird to me. The people who like Elizabeth Warren are like these very upper educated whites with like their graduate degrees.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they're not communists, and they weren't going to vote for Bernie. They're going to go vote for Biden.
Yeah.
They're dorks. I just say they're dorks. That's what we call them in junior high. That's what they are.
George
McFly. Anyone that supports Elizabeth Warren is a dork.
Or a woman who that's the only requirement for.
No.
Oh, okay. No. Up next.
We're waiting for Nikki Haley.
There you go. Up next, Governor Gavin Newsom apparently says Trump he's doing everything right with the coronavirus. Yeah, I don't think you're going to hear this on the mainstream media, though, so you got to stay tuned. But first, let's talk about losing your hair. Yeah, it sucks and you don't want to talk about it. However, what if I told you that you could keep your hair without even leaving your couch? Now I've piqued your interest. All right, so Keeps offers the generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products. They're the real deal. They're generic, so they save you a fortune. It's super simple. You answer a few online questions, you take a few pictures of your hair, you submit it in, and a doctor will review everything and recommend the right FDA-approved hair loss treatment for you. They ship it directly to your door for you. You don't even have to set foot in a doctor's office because we know, you men especially, you're not going to go to the doctor. We already know that as your wives, so you don't have to. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. Also, a whopping 66% of men experience hair regrowth thanks to Keeps. Losing your hair sucks. We all know that. Do something about it. Here's the deal I got you. Go to keeps.com/Y. You can get your first hair loss treatment for 50% off. Yes, that's right. I said 50. That is keeps.com, as in keep your hair.com/Y. Keeps.com/Y. Go there now. California Governor Gavin Newsom gave President Donald Trump all the credit and his administration all the credit for an effective and satisfactory response to the growing coronavirus problem over in California. You may not hear this on like CNN. I don't know, just a guess. I'm not actually watching CNN, so I can't tell you for sure. But nothing but high praises on Trump's response to coronavirus. Here is what Governor Newsom said.
I had a private conversation with him around 4:30 West Coast time, and he said everything that I could have hoped for. And we had a very long conversation, and every single thing he said, they followed through on. So I'm just not interested in finding daylight on those statements, because every single thing his administration, and it starts at the top, including the vice president, has been consistent with the expectation that we repatriate these passengers, and we do it in a way that does justice to the spirit that defines the best of our country and the state of California.
You got to believe Nancy Pelosi is looking to take him to the woodshed after that.
Let me tell you. So I don't even want to comment on this because I despise that man. He is such a clown.
But that's why it's all the more shocking.
That guy, when it comes to guns, he is the most dangerous, one of the most dangerous governors in America when it comes to taking away your firearms. So he comes out and says that. I want to applaud him for saying it. But it pains me to applaud Gavin Newsom.
But that's why it's all the more shocking to hear him come out and say something positive. It kind of goes to show you how dumb he actually
is, though, because if you wanted to politicize it, right, this is your chance. Everybody else has politicized it. The most political figure they have on the West Coast could have jumped on board. I know why Nancy Pelosi's mad at him. Mm-hmm. But way to go, Gavin Newsom.
There you go. Oh, good job,
I'm going to clip just that one part, just you clapping for Gavin Newsom.
We'll never live it down.
Kind of depressed about it.
Jason, your thoughts?
I mean, look, balls and strikes. The guy, I think he knows that he needs, especially in a state like California, he needs the cooperation and the good graces of Trump and the administration because of what they're dealing with. So I think he made a calculation for whatever reason, and I don't think Democrats are happy about it. You've seen almost every single other one accuse him of completely botching it, and people are going to die because of Trump, as if he's done basically everything anybody's asked for. He took the money they told him they wanted him to take. I don't know what else he could do outside of trying to. I don't even know what he could have done about the testing with all the red tape.
So you do think he has an ulterior motive? That's good. That would make sense with Gavin Newsom.
Yes,
that's what Grant wants to hear.
But a good one.
He's only doing it for himself.
He is doing it for himself.
I swear.
So that he doesn't look like a jerk when coronavirus starts spreading across California. So good for him.
Yeah. So I thought it was really interesting. Angela Merkel said this morning that she expects 60 to 70% of Germany to catch the coronavirus at some point within the next year. So yeah, this is definitely not President Trump's fault. I don't think it's anyone's fault. We're facing a serious illness. Did
you see the numbers from the White House doctor today? He said He said 70 to up to 150 million people. A third. He thought that a third of the United States would be infected.
He said it will get way
Yeah,
worse.
so if a third of the United States, that's about 100 million people at a 1% mortality rate, those are a million deaths.
It's a lot. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
and I'm not on the scaremonger train, but this is the White House doctor, so of course there's a lot of factors here. But if we can't get it under control and we don't get lucky and it doesn't respond to the warmer months, that's a lot of deaths. So
This is really hard to say, though. But that is a lot of deaths. I don't think it's going to get that far either. But let's talk about
God
the deaths
willing.
we're talking about. We're talking about older people, and we're talking about already sick older people. So we're not even just talking about regular, healthy 75-year-old. Sick, underlying issues 75-year-olds. I love my mom and dad. They're right in that age group.
But I think they still matter, right?
Of course they
still
matter. But it does not have an effect really on the economy. Certainly they're buying some things, but these are not our factory workers. They're not our police officers. They're not our firemen. They're not our teachers. They're not working at the offices down the street. These are not the people that are driving the growth of the American economy. And yet somehow the stock market is reacting as if that demographic has this huge effect. And so, of course, every life matters, obviously. I mean, look. But let's look at the demographic we're talking about. Nobody wants to talk about that. You know why they want to talk about that? Because they're politically correct and they refuse to acknowledge
I don't even think it's just that. I think they're trying to invoke panic, and really what we should probably be talking about is how do we protect those people, right? Not telling everyone that you need to you
Why
can't.
are they closing elementary
Right, you
schools?
can't-
Why
when it's
are
old
we
people?
stocking up on toilet paper? I can't freaking figure it out. Why?
I get it because this is why.
No, the one person was like, oh, you know what? We need toilet paper. And then everyone else followed
Because
suit. You know what? This isn't a gastrointestinal disease, people. You don't need more toilet paper for coronavirus.
If you're a paranoid person and you want to bug in, as the preppers say, and you don't want to have to leave the house for a month or two, I can see why they would want to stock up. I think it's silly. I think you can go to the CVS and don't touch anything and wash your hands and get toilet paper. But,
Bring your freaking gloves if that makes you feel better.
I get it, yeah.
Yeah, so I think what we should be doing though is we should be looking at we've had outbreaks before, and then we've seen different cities respond to them differently. Cities that implemented social distancing policies, that have canceled things like conferences, it sucks. It's very uncomfortable, especially if you've already paid for it.
By the way, the coronavirus conference in New York has been canceled due to coronavirus.
Sure.
Can't make it up.
Yeah, so we should definitely be looking at these things because it'll certainly retard the rate of growth of the virus.
So
Can't say that in 2020. I'm just telling you. Retard.
Said, oh my God.
Can't say that.
So anyway, moving on. Quick question for you guys. So they are looking in London for 24 volunteers to inject them with the coronavirus and participate in a flu camp. I guess it's a medical research
Sounds
deal. They're giving you not just $4,500, $4,588
Dollars or
for
pounds?
their. It says dollars here.
Oh, okay.
Dollars for their troubles. Would you do it, Grant?
400 how much?
$4,588.
To be injected with coronavirus?
Yeah,
No.
to be.
Now, the question is, how much would you do it for? So if I had to look at it, well, I'm healthy. I'll do it for $1 million.
I was.
Ooh,
$1 million.
I like that.
I'd do it. And you know what? You maybe could get me down to $500,000.
Am I the only one who's like, I would do it in a second? It's a vacation
For
from
$4,000?
the
Yes.
kids. Like,
Yes,
for
you're the only one.
$4,500?
You are also the only one with a newborn here, so.
I'm healthy. I'd be
So you
fine.
do it for the $4,500.
Heck yeah, dude.
He's
Get a
saying
week.
They're gonna
he's
go
doing
to
it for
him.
the
Free markets.
$4,500.
For
He
free
would do
markets,
it
they're
for
gonna go to
free
him.
Bro, just to get
a
2
couple
weeks
nights
off,
of
like just
sleep.
2 weeks of sleep, even give me some NyQuil, I'll be fine.
How much would you
We're
do
sorry
it for?
to Jason's
How much would you do
wife.
it?
I would probably do it for, I'd probably do it for $500,000.
Y'all are unreasonable.
If I give you a couple hundred cash right now, would you?
Absolutely not.
No.
Oh, absolutely not.
Couple hundred thousand, I'm talking.
No.
No.
Wow, y'all are crazy.
Because I think I
It's
would
a
be
cold.
negotiated
What's
down
wrong with
from
y'all?
higher
It's a cold.
to $500,000. What do you think?
I wouldn't do it for anything.
It is.
Wouldn't do it for anything. Pansy.
No, I had asthma when I was a kid. I don't know.
It's a cold, but I don't like the idea of it being injected into me. I don't know what else is in the injection. I don't know what adjuvants they use.
The government would never do anything shady.
Right. There's no medication, nothing that's ever been recalled.
Have a
Everything's
tracker in your
completely
arm for the
safe.
rest of your life.
Yeah. It's just weird. They keep showing up wherever you go. I don't know how they keep
They would be
knowing.
so bored following me around.
Yes.
Back in a minute. Coronavirus expert Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez decided to weigh in on the situation on her Instagram Live, which is, of course, her official, station that she chooses to make all of her very public statements about coronavirus, which, again, she is an expert on. Here's what she had to say.
Honestly, it sounds almost so silly to say, but there's a lot of restaurants that are feeling the pain of racism, where people are literally not patroning Chinese restaurants. They're not patroning Asian restaurants because of just straight up racism around the coronavirus.
They're not patroning.
She was right with her first line. It sounds silly to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's it.
Just stop there. Just stop, like everything I'm going to say. Just insanity.
I never even thought once about not eating at a Chinese restaurant. Like not once did it ever even cross my mind to not eat it.
Now, I do know one person here who is not eating Chinese food right now. Not a racist person at all. But people are not going out in public, generally speaking, not just to the Chinese restaurants.
Who is her sample? Like, who is she polling about, I'm racist against Chinese people, therefore I'm not going to eat the Chinese food?
Where is she hearing this
She doesn't have to poll people because, as I said, she is a coronavirus expert.
She knows things.
So she just already can just say it because she knows it.
It's unbelievable.
I don't know if you know this, Jason, but she does have a degree.
The freedom she feels to spout that way with no regard for if it's actually true or not it's amazing. Like, it's amazing to watch, and there's no pushback. She doesn't get PolitiFact on her for fact checking her for what she says. She can say whatever she wants, and it's like the only people who care, I guess, who are talking about her, idiots like us, who would just.
She doesn't understand. I need my MSG fix.
Yeah.
I always order my Chinese food with extra MSG. And
Can you do that?
of course,
You just add it in, really?
add extra MSG. Oh,
Please,
yes.
extra MSG.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have to pay extra?
Yeah, nothing's going to keep me away from my Kung Pao chicken.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep going to Chinese restaurants.
Well, I'm just very thankful that we had the expert finally weigh in on how Americans are being affected by the coronavirus.
I mean, I feel horrible for Corona beer. Like, literally, and I'm not even saying that kidding around. Like,
That's
I feel
true.
horrible for them.
really?
Their name has now just been associated with.
Why isn't she talking about that racism against Hispanics
Yeah.
in Mexico?
That's a great point.
See?
Because if you
Right.
call it the Wuhan virus,
Yeah,
you're a huge
I
racist,
think
even though
maybe
that's where it came from.
What's the Chinese beer? Ling Ling or Yin Yang? Or what's the Chinese beer that
I
they.
think it is Ling.
No, Yingling's an American beer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow,
there's got to
that
be a
was
Chinese
racist.
beer.
That-
there we go.
Maybe they started it to take the fight to
Sapporo?
Corona.
You just proved.
Sapporo. That's Japanese.
That's Japanese,
Japanese. They're taking the fight to Corona.
Yeah. Well,
Go ahead, last word on this.
Well, I think everyone should know we had catering here last week from.
We did Panda Express.
Yeah.
And it was delicious.
Yeah. So I think that should clear us now, right?
Yeah.
We're no longer racist.
We're clear of racism.
Right. Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, I'm just going to go with it.
I just love that you guys think Panda Express is the place to go for Chinese food.
All right, we didn't say that. It was just what they decided to bring in for Super Tuesday, and we ate
corporate
it.
overlords here.
Yeah.
That's what they chose.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of coronavirus, Hunter Biden, he's been in all of this legal trouble with, turns out you go and you impregnate a stripper and then you got to pay for the kid. Who knew? But he is fighting this whole child support lawsuit, and he was supposed to attend a court deposition this week after not turning over his financial documents. The court's like, hey, guy, you got to actually provide us with information, so you need to come here so that we can depose you. And he says that he couldn't come because there are travel restrictions due to the coronavirus, and also his wife is pregnant. So he's unable to make it. Grant, that possibly couldn't be any other reason other than he's worried about coronavirus.
Again, and I've seen nothing about pregnant women being at risk of corona.
Nothing.
Always old, but this is what the Bidens do. They try to find excuses for everything, not to have to face the music.
Jason, you okay over there?
This guy is such a deadbeat.
Degenerate.
I'm going to stop there.
Yeah.
He's a deadbeat for this. He has a kid. He has a child. It's his responsibility. And it's so obvious to everyone. He's just trying to delay and get out of his responsibility. It's just this guy, he does coke in strip joint bathrooms, impregnates strippers, doesn't pay his child support. He's got no respect for me.
Well,
as a man, he's got no respect for
and
He's
well,
just a douchebag.
he is,
Yeah.
but I mean, to think about the audacity, and I'm sure this comes from being a Biden, as you pointed
Right.
out, the audacity of him to argue to this particular court that he's like, I haven't had a job since like May, and I'm broke. I can't afford child support. Meanwhile, he's driving around in a Porsche, you know, taking his wife to the Waldorf Astoria for lunch. Obviously, he's got money to burn, yet he
he's
goes
as
into court and
dead
says he
broke
can't pay for his
as
child.
Hillary Clinton was leaving the White House.
Right.
I mean, it's ridiculous. He's a trust fund baby. He needs to man up and take care of his kid, even if he's not going to be in his life.
Add the line. You want to say he's a deadbeat what? What were you going to say? Just say it.
I was going to say deadbeat.
Anyway, was what I was going to say.
That was it.
Do you think, though, Giancarlo, do you think that this is just a delay tactic to help his father? Because I don't disagree with you, Jason, that you've got to pay for your kid.
He doesn't want his financial records disclosed.
Right, because, why?
Because it's going to show his various streams of income during...
From the Ukraine.
Yeah. Well, he's going to show like how he's been making his shady money, how he's paying for that $120,000 Porsche, how he's paying those $10,000 a month in rent in LA. He's also going to show he might have sources of income that we don't know about while his father was vice president.
Great point. You know, I didn't even think I was so worked up as a dad.
Deadbeat dad,
Right,
yeah.
Like that, I didn't think about
he's
that.
just- yeah.
I didn't think about that in that how the irony that maybe him knocking up a stripper could possibly be the undoing of the whole Biden career.
Yes.
Like, who knows?
Yes.
Like, it would be amazing.
He's going to have to
And-
show like his 2015 tax return, his 2016 tax return, both years while his father was vice president. So he doesn't want he doesn't want that.
Right, and I don't know. I don't think if it came down to it, if he was threatened with, being thrown in jail for contempt of court, I don't think he's going. I think he finally turns over the documents. I don't think Hunter Biden would take that kind of rap just to protect his father for that long. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I don't either. He's too selfish for that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, back in a minute.
Man, did he get lucky with that timing. Didn't he?
Yesterday's poll was who has said the craziest thing? Now, you had several Democrats to vote for: Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and Donald Trump. Joe Biden, man, he ran away with this one at 69% who said that he has said the craziest thing amongst these choices. Bernie Sanders followed him by 24%, and Donald Trump just barely registering there at 7.3%. I don't know. I guess that's fair. Joe Biden has said some pretty crazy things.
So I think Joe Biden has said some dumb things and wrong things and stupid things. He said a few crazy things.
AR-14 the other day.
It's like a mistake. He's confused, right?
He
And I don't
lives
give him a
confused.
pass because he lives confused.
Yeah.
But Bernie Sanders has literally said crazy things.
Yeah.
Like we go back to Fidel Castro and supporting him, back to going on his honeymoon in Russia and his support for socialism. These are literally Looney Tune things to say.
Yeah. So Grant.
Donald Trump, I don't think has ever said anything crazy. I don't understand why he's even on the list. Like, I don't understand.
Never.
Never. I mean,
Never.
the man is even keeled as it gets.
Moving on to today's poll, will Bernie supporters vote for Joe Biden? Ooh. What do you think, Jason?
No. Oh, some of them will. Some of them will. But
Why I didn't
So did they
make
just
up the
not show up to
question.
vote?
Don't look at me.
I think that's a good question. I don't know how they protest or if they write in Bernie.
I've heard both. I've heard some of them don't show up.
But
I've heard some of them.
I think
vote for
it
Trump,
could look
too.
something like 70-30. Like 30% might migrate over, but the diehards they're burning it down.
What do you think, Giancarlo?
I'd say most of them will, but the Bernie bros will sit it out.
Just sit it out. Stay at home.
Yeah, I'd say like you said, I'd say like 70-30.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know what you think. You can go to the Blaze's Twitter. That is @TheBlaze. We'll see you tomorrow.